Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Curtains Up. I'm your host, Rohan, and today we're bringing the spotlight behind the scenes. Literally, with a very special guest who's been lighting up stages with creativity and precision. Please join me in welcoming Grace McIntyre, a talented lighting designer whose work has transformed theater productions with mood, atmosphere, and storytelling through light. From late night tech rehearsals to programming cues that wow an audience, Grace McIntyre brings insight, passion, and behind the board perspective that often goes unseen but never unnoticed. We're so excited to have you here, Grace. Welcome to Curtains Up.
So great to be here. Thank you so much, Rohan.
Let's dive right in. Lighting design can sometimes be one of the most overlooked yet powerful parts of a production. What first sparked your interest in lighting design, and how did you get started in this role?
So I initially started theater acting in high school, and I wanted to get involved with theater, but have sort of a more I wanted to be involved differently. And lighting design had always stuck out to me because it's very visual thing, and it's something that I've always been super intrigued about. And then going into my 11th grade production, we did Beauty and the Beast at in high school, and Um, I was assistant lighting designer, meaning I didn't actually design everything myself. My good friend Shivani did, and I kind of got to see what it was like, and it really intrigued me. So then the following year, I decided to do lighting design myself, and I don't regret it at all. It was great.
Yeah, and you also did really good, right? You got an award at Thespies for it, if I recall correctly.
I did, yes. The 2024, so I got a superior award on the state level, and then a superior award as well on the national level in June.
Yeah, you're just destined for lighting design, right? And then I guess this would work for like adding on to your experience with lighting design. If and when you read a script for the first time, what do you look for from a lighting perspective?
I look at a couple different things. Like one of the big things I look at are I like to associate each character with a color. One of the big projects I did was for the musical Something Rotten, which you were in, and um, and so what I looked for that is I looked at a lot of the speaking characters and I looked at their lines and their different personalities and I kind of associated that with a different color. Like the protagonist, I gave a dark blue color because that's kind of what you see in a lot of movies like Star Wars. And then the antagonist gets like a red evil color. Um, and then I also look at the timing as well. Um, Sorry, my dog's in the back.
All good.
um, and then I also look for yeah the timing, the setting. Like this musical was set in the Renaissance, so I use a lot of beiges and browns to sort of give that old European color as well. So yeah, definitely a lot about colors. Um, I look at brightness and dimness depending on the time of day. Depending on how fantastic of a musical number it is, you'd want to have a more bright environment. Um, I'd say those are the two biggest things that I look for. I mean, there are many other considerations, but those are the two that come to mind.
I recall seeing some purple in there. Do you like did you use that for character? Was that like a mix of when the main character and the villain were on stage?
That I associated with the main character's wife. I gave her
Okay.
sort of a royal purple color because she's a very powerful character in the musical. She's sort of a voice of reason for the protagonist, and she's very outspoken, and so that was sort of the color I gave to her. I think that would also be a great consideration, having purple as sort of a mix between good and bad, which I would definitely I'm sure you would see that in many other musicals as well.
Yeah, no, that's just so cool. I've never thought of like associating characters with light, but thinking back, it's pretty obvious that you did. So that's really awesome. Um, and then I guess you've also talked about this already. How do you approach designing lighting for a show? Do you have like a specific process?
Um, yeah, I think it would definitely vary depending on what show it is. In college, I helped work on lighting for SpongeBob the Musical. So with that, there was also a lot of color for um, the different um, the different characters. We also have to think about if you want to mix colors and how that looks on stage. Like it's a lot harder to make, for example, red and green mixed together very smoothly. You'd use that as more of a contrast, and that tended to work very well because you had the two characters like Mr. Krabs and Plankton. They were sort of enemies, so that worked as a big contrast. But they don't really complement each other very well. Um, and so, yeah, I think that's one of the big things. Brightness and dimness, I said as well. You'd also want to see like how much of your stage you want to light. Like if you have a big musical number with every single person on stage, you'd of course want to have the entire stage lit. But if you're only working in a small area of the stage, like let's say you have a house, like a tiny cottage house lit, you don't need the entire stage for that because you want to make the environment very small and cramped and crowded. So you might only light, say, like just stage right, like a third of the stage.
Yeah, and also just like if there's like one character who has like a solo moment, who's like has like a realization, like the main character realizing, that's when you just have one spotlight, right? To show like the audience like this is important.
Exactly, yes. Like
Okay.
a lot of times
Okay.
in solo musical numbers, you'll have like either just like one single light on them or a follow spot if they're moving around. And that really helps set the importance of that one character.
Yeah. Because the audience follows, right? Like audience brain, they don't know the script, so they're just like watching it happen, and lighting helps that. I'd say.
Yeah. One thing I heard, I forgot who I heard it from, but it was uh very good like quote. It was how like the audience like they the main thing that the audience like focuses on are what they see. So of course they're seeing the characters, but if you can't see the characters, then of course there's no show for them to see. And if you can complement the characters with different colors and brightness and sort of set the lighting to the mood of the play, then that helps enhance the audience experience as well.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And because especially because it's just like in general, when I'd say after you see the show, when you're trying to remember it, you try to think about like what was the most important part. And at first you see colors because colors are like the most easiest thing to remember. So it's just like
Yeah.
associating with colors. That's something I've never thought of. Sorry, it's just that's so cool. And then how do you collaborate with the director and other designers to make sure your lighting supports the overall vision?
Yeah, no, of course it's crucial to collaborate with other people. I mean, you have to collaborate with not only the director, but you also have to talk to the stage manager because they're basically in charge of like how the actors are moving and what they're doing. You have to talk with the other designers, like if you have a sound designer, you'd want the light to complement the sound, um, and the technical director. So really, it's with everybody. But in regards to the director, you want to hear what their vision is, and like you want to understand what they're doing because um, a lot of times the way that they'll direct their actors is based on their own vision, and you want to make sure that you're complementing their vision. And so, of course, it's crucial to add your like your own creativity to it because that's the uniqueness of having a lighting designer position. But you also want to make sure that you are on pace with what your director's doing, and your director's also on pace with what you're doing. So it's a collaborative effort, and you can sort of create a show that wouldn't have ever been done if one person were to do it. But that's sort of the beauty in it because you have so much collaboration.
Yeah, I've always thought that it was sort of like a trickle down thing. Like director plans it and then after they plan everything, then that sort of like goes down towards like the lighting designer and the sound designer and the stage managers just to like go from where they left off. But I never saw it as each one having their own vision of how it works and then working with each other to make this one like huge vision which people actually see. And that's actually much better than what I thought originally.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I would say that the director is probably the first person to start working on the show, but as they're casting the actors and starting rehearsals, I think the lighting designer and the sound designer and all the other designers for the show, they get the script and then they're sort of told to like go off of their own creativity and imagination. And of course, this might not always be the case, but this is what it has been for myself, to sort of let the creative juices start flowing and then once you have a solid idea for everything, then you meet with the director and then you sort of hear what their like basic needs are and then you explain your creativity. So you're essentially building off of the director's basic requirements and adding your own creativity.
Okay, that makes it more clear, and that's also way better, just in general. Um, and then what's the most challenging scene or effect you've ever had to design?
Ooh, I remember when doing Something Rotten, there's the one music number where William Shakespeare gets introduced on stage, and then it's like a whole like rock number, rock concert. And for that, I wanted to have like follow spots moving around, and then also um, almost like you know how a lot in times in concerts you have a lot of big like flashing lights, changing colors, and so I had a very big vision for that. But one thing that I hadn't considered earlier was also thinking about actor safety because a lot of sometimes when actors are on stage, you need to make sure that they're not blinded by all of the lights, and also some actors have a lot of light sensitivity. So that was something that I needed to consider. So I had to take back some of the intensity of the lights, and then but I was able to find a good compromise where I could still have the effect that I wanted, where I had changing light colors but it was more of a soft transition between the lights. But I still think it achieved the same goal. And overall, it was good to prioritize the actor's safety, and then at the same time also achieve the vision that I wanted to have.
Yeah, no, I remember how intense it was, especially the ending when there's a bunch of like flickering, and then just
Yeah,
like, but I also remember like the transition in like the middle when there was like a softer scene. It went to like pink and like the love sonnet. So,
yeah,
wow, I never knew it was that challenging. That's impressive.
yeah. No, that was probably it was the most challenging, but also the most fun scene to design.
Yeah, I think that scene was really awesome. And then what's it been looking like as a lighting designer while balancing school and other responsibilities?
Um, That was a little bit difficult. I think the main thing that I was like, for example, with Something Rotten, I was balancing college applications at the same time.
Yeah.
So that was a little hectic at times, but in some way, lighting design was a bit of an escape from that. Like it was a little bit of like, oh, I can finally do something that I actually enjoy. Um, and so overall, it I was able to balance it, but at times it was a bit stressful. Um, with In college, I when I did lighting design for SpongeBob the Musical, it I think timing wise, it was a bit more it didn't work with my schedule as much because the shows were about a day before one of my finals. So hindsight, I should have probably looked at the schedule more, but I think it's definitely possible to achieve sort of a balance between school and this. Um, but it's definitely it takes a lot of consideration, and you need to assign what your priorities are.
Yeah, and that really fits in with my next question. What advice would you give to other high school students or college students considering going into lighting design?
Yeah, that's a good question. Collaboration is the number one thing. Like without my friend Shivani, without the my technical director at Eastlake, I don't think I would have been able to do any of this myself, and I wouldn't have known where to start. So it's it's encouraged to ask for help, look online, ask people within your theater that you know, because that's ultimately not only going to help you improve your skills, but it'll also give you some nuance in creativity. Like maybe if I had a certain idea, but then someone else had an idea that I had never even considered, but it ended up being an even better idea. Um, that's key. I think I would probably say that above all else.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And just in general, I've noticed this piece of feedback getting like almost everybody I talk to is saying that whenever I ask like what advice do you have if you wanted to get into stage managing, if you wanted to get into lighting design, if you wanted to get into stage managing, I think all three of them have said so far that just ask. And I think that's like really uh showing how inclusive the drama community really is, because it's kind of crazy how you can go almost anywhere just by asking.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's really nice to see just how like very specified knowledge each person has, and it's like you again, you can't really have a show if it's a one person show. I mean, of course that exists, but the majority of shows and musicals are a joint effort of creativity and skills, and like I have little knowledge about sound design, so I would never be able to do that, and I I'm ultimately utterly impressed by people who um, can do sound design very effectively, um, as well as many other technical and acting skills.
Yeah, I think that's just one of the most like awesome things that I love about drama. Just in general, how much of a community it builds because you can't have a show with one person, so you have to collaborate with so many people, and it just ends up like fostering public relations and just in general, like you'll never be friendless in drama. Is what I'm saying.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then one final question is: if you could create a signature lighting moment on stage, what would it look and feel like? Like if you had access to infinite money, infinite resources, and like a big stage, what would you do?
Ooh, that's a good question. I I think I'd want to play around with having multiple follow spots because my high school theater only had one, as well as the theater that I worked at in college. So I think, especially with a musical number with multiple singing roles, I think I'd want to learn how to play around with multiple follow spots at once. Um, as well as having a lot of fun because I feel like you can put a lot of character into how a follow spot works. Like if you have a person operating it, you can have them like tweak it in a way that it almost has like a sort of life to it, like a little character. Like one moment I remember seeing in a show that I thought was very funny um, was in the musical Chicago when when the character Amos was singing about how like oh everyone uses him in the song Mr. Cellophane and how and so the follow spot wasn't even following him, it was following other people on stage. It was just showing how it was like this follow spot was against him and it was like taking away the spotlight from him. So I think being able to play with that a lot more is something I'd like to do if I had a lot of money.
So wait, then let me make this more specific. If there was a specific show that you could lighting design for, and they give you like infinite money, and you just like in general like you can create the best lighting ever, which show would you pick?
Ooh. I think I really liked the like both music and lighting design of the musical Six. So I think it'd be really
Okay.
cool to do lighting for that, just because there's so many different colors and it's kind of like a rock concert. Um, but ooh, let me see other musicals. I think it would also be pretty cool to do um something like I think like a big Disney musical as well. I haven't done that before, but like seeing how Beauty and the Beast worked as assistant lighting designer, being able to do something like The Little Mermaid, where it's just completely underwater, and have a lot of
Yeah.
like ability to
Do
work
you
with the
remember
colors.
Frozen at ITF?
Oh my God, that was amazing. Oh my
Yeah, no,
gosh.
I think that lighting was some of the best lighting I've ever seen. So I can see why you'd pursue Disney stuff.
Yeah, and with the
Um,
lasers too, that was crazy.
Maybe like Aladdin or something, because I'm pretty sure that's pretty light heavy, especially
Yeah,
for
and that
just
has a
like
lot. You can work with a lot of colors in that
yeah,
one.
yeah. Anyways, that brings us to the final cue of today's episode. Huge thanks to Grace for shining a light, literally and figuratively, on what it means to design with precision, creativity, and care.
Yeah, it's so good to be here. Thank you so much, Rohan. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, we can't wait to see how your passion continues to glow both on and off stage. Wishing you many more smooth cues and standing ovations in the future. Keep shining, and thanks for being here.